Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Kubeflow community meeting for November 19th. I want to remind everyone that this call is being recorded and it is governed by the CNCF Code of Conduct. I want to just start as we typically do with our agenda. And then first up is our release update. We have our release management team here. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into the update from 1.10. Ricardo, would you like to walk us through any comments, questions?
Yes. Yesterday we reached the our checkpoints for ensuring that the working groups achieved at least 50% of the development work done. Let's not forget that our plan is to get feature freeze on January 20th. So yesterday we had our release team checkpoint. It looks green for now based on the liaisons updates. So we're counting on that to say we're good enough to go to feature freeze and get all the components done by according to the schedule. So I think we're good, and we'll keep getting updates from the working group liaisons to see if there any blockers will happen during this path until the feature freeze date. But so far, they seem like everything looks good. So yeah, I think that's it. I don't know how much I can talk about this, but I'm feeling confident we'll reach feature freeze without any issues. Any questions, comments? Floor is open.
So do we know what the status of like the headlining features other than Notebooks 2.0 would be?
Well, the liaison says that the things look good because according to the milestone, you just reached 50% of the work done. And yeah, I think one of the questions we got yesterday during the release team checkpoints is there were some issues for V1 addressed for 19191 that we don't know if there will be any updates so far. But I mean, bug fixes are not something that we count during the releases. All we track is basically new features. So if there are good number of bug fixes for V1 and having V2, good. But my understanding is that the notebook working group is focusing on notebooks 2.0. Maybe you can confirm that to me, but this is what I got from the working group liaison.
No, I mean from like other. I was talking about. I mean, I know what's happening with Notebooks 2.0, but like, what about other? I can talk about it after this in the next section. But what is there other big features? You know, if we don't quite make Notebooks 2.0, that will still be worth
Well,
releasing.
there's Spark Operator to become the part of the core components. There is Training Operator V2, model registry UI. I think that's it. There's not much about the pipelines because my understanding is that they are doing some sort of reorganize, and they are trying to set a better schedule between the Kubeflow pipeline releases and to sync up with the Kubeflow releases as well. So my understanding is that there's not a big feature happening on pipelines, but at least there's some sort of consistent release cycles for them. So, but you can take a look at the link. I think Valentina just posted on chat. We already have the roadmap file uploaded in the Kubeflow repo. So
Yeah, I think of all all the stuff that we have, the training operator V2 looked the most complete.
Okay. Andrea, do you want to quickly, is that something that you think is going to make the release?
Yeah, I can talk about it once we finish this release discussion.
Okay, cool. I'll put it on the notes. Or do you want to put it under as the context of KubeCon as well?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Is there anything else? Like, I just want to have it so that we can having it for marketing purposes, kind of just obviously the roadmap is a roadmap, but things have changed probably. So, is there anything else we've forgotten, Ricardo, on that list we're making on the screen right there?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. Anyone from any of the leads as well can speak up. Feel free. Okay, cool. Anyway, just that's all. That's all I wanted.
All right, great update, great job. Really impressed with the success of the release team, and I really appreciate the fact that they have done good efforts to look at the release handbook and perhaps improve it. You know, these are, when you're documenting process, you can't write everything down, but it's very interesting, and I'm very thankful to the folks that wrote the release handbook and improved it, especially Kimonis, Anna, and some of the previous release managers who, you know, laid the groundwork to make the lives of you know, future contributors easier. Why did they do that? Good question. All right, let's move on to the main agenda. I think we have the first item on the Price is Right here about the Kubeflow steering elections, which Matthew has just kind of put in the middle here. I know we saw Amber's on the. Amber, you want to walk us through a little bit about what's going on with the steering committee election?
Sure. So this week, I put the names on the mailing list because I still have to assign the DCO, and Andre and Terry are helping me, so the PR actually gets pushed through. But the names of all those who can vote and who are eligible to be candidates have been published to the mailing list, and I've pushed the PR, and that should go through hopefully later today. So if you don't see your GitHub ID on that list, file the exception. The link is in the mailing list, and when the PR gets merged, it'll be on there. So file that exception this week. And then following that will be the nominations phase. I'll start an issue, people can nominate, all that good stuff. Following the nominations will be 2 weeks of testimonial, and then following that will be 3 weeks of voting. So we're right now in the exceptions phase. Again, take a look at the mailing list. And then as soon as the PR gets pushed through, I'll just drop a reminder out in Slack and on the mailing list to go take a look at it as well. So again, if you don't see your name on that list and you believe you've contributed enough in other areas other than just GitHub, please file the exception. So we're underway. And it's going to be exciting.
So, do you have help with this?
No, I don't necessarily need somebody, but I would like for other people to learn. So if you're interested, please ping me on IRC or shoot me an email and let me know you want to help. You can learn how to do this. I would love to hand it off, or at least, you know, have other folks for the next elections. So, but keep in mind, if you're going to help as an election official, you can't run in the election. So that's the only drawback to being an election official. You can vote, you just can't run. So.
How much time do you think it takes to, it sounds like there's a series of PRs and maybe running some reports. What's the What do you think the investment of time to run this tends to be? Is it like 10 hours or something like that or less?
It's actually probably less now that I have all the templates and stuff. It's just changing dates and sending stuff out. So, just to be on the safe side, I would just say, 15 hours over the course of the entire election, which is about 2 months time.
Great. Okay, any questions about the steering committee election process or timeline?
Oh, we should probably just probably should call out the exact dates, right? What's the key dates?
They're on the mailing list and they're in the PR.
I'll just copy them in.
Yeah. Keep in mind, elections phase is 1 week. The nominations phase is 2 weeks. The testimonial phase is 2 weeks, and then the voting phase is 3 weeks.
So we'll have the new KSC members before the feature freeze. Good. Okay.
January 13th, yes.
Lucky January 13th. Okay.
Hey,
Well,
I'd
that-
love to see how can I help so we connect with you.
Please do, Valentina.
Of
Please do.
course, thank you. Sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
Please. Okay. All right, good deal. Really looking forward. I think the steering committee with the new folks going to add a lot of value in 2025. And I really look forward to seeing this this whole process work its way through. Notebooks 2.0, Matthew.
I just like to keep this on the agenda because honestly, so many people are contributing, and I think it's partially because we just keep calling it out. So Notebooks 2.0 is happening. If you somehow have missed it, it's a complete rewrite of Kubeflow Notebooks. It's way better. It's designed from, what thousands of users or more have, the problems that they've faced and and features they've requested that were very difficult to implement with the old architecture. So if you're interested in, we're not quite at the point where end users can use it yet, unless you're a contributor. But if you're interested in contributing and you have experience with Go controllers and REST APIs or front-end JavaScript and React, please join our meetings. The next meeting is this Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Otherwise, if you can't make that time, that's also fine. Please just comment on the issue that's linked there. If you actually have an interest in contributing. We'll give more updates soon with hopefully some nice. We've got our own internal mockups and first designs of the UI, and hopefully we'll be able to share that soon. So that will be fun for people to see, I think, because it will make a lot of people understand kind of where we're coming at and what we're doing. But thanks to everyone who has contributed. I can't list everyone, but obviously Red Hat's been a big contributor, but it's not just Red Hat. There's other companies as well, like CERN and a few others. So yeah. And the GSOC people who have stayed on as well, which is great. And some of their friends have come on as well. Some of the students have brought their friends in as well, which is always fun. So, yes.
So Matthew, just one question here. I know there was some architectural. Do you think that there's anything structural in the way, something CRD wrapper or whatever you were talking about? Is that something that other projects may want to learn from, or do you think that architecture that you've worked is applicable in other?
So we have made some contributions upstream to controller runtime as a result of what we've built. And certainly we've discovered a lot of things throughout the development that we have tried to document publicly in issue trackers for common issues upstream, like how caching works for complicated, like how to do efficient caching and things like that in controller runtime. But there's only one interesting thing if you happen to be a developer of a Kubernetes-based app, which probably most people here are, is that we're doing something interesting, which is using controller runtime for the REST API backend, which is not a controller for Kubeflow notebooks. And so demonstrating how you can benefit from the like caching, like watch list caches, they're called, of the controller runtime without having to directly, say if you constantly need to hit a Kubernetes cluster, rather than having to make those requests thousands of times, you can cache the results effectively with controller runtime. And we're using that ability even for our backend. But if that's what you're saying, yeah, like we have definitely learned a lot and we've tried to give back as much as we can. We've even made some improvements to the safety of controller runtime overall and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that one of the Kubernetes native aspects of what we do is bringing hopefully best in class type of architectural design for very complex. And hopefully this helps people who, may use it for Kubeflow or something else.
Well, yeah, I mean, it scales probably more than it needs to, if you know what I mean, which is good. And also, I will just, as I always, I mean, Notebooks 1.0, no, sorry, Notebooks 2.0, I just want to highlight is still about pods on Kubernetes, but just as a hint, maybe it'll be 2.1, maybe it'll be 2.2. But my goal is to support KubeVirt targeted VMs, managed VMs as well, with hot migration between nodes and things like that. So you can imagine that you might run your Kubeflow cluster on cloud and then have hundreds of GPUs on-prem running on a KubeVirt cluster or thousands of GPUs on-prem. You might, and they're probably managed through a KubeVirt cluster. So
is this, do you have like an open issue? Is this for Kubeflow or is this for deploy KF?
No, this is for, well, I mean, deploy KF will support it, but Kubeflow Notebooks 2.1 in this case.
I ran into someone doing a KubeVirt talk at OLF and they're part of the KubeVirt community. Do you have like an open issue I could share with them and say, hey, keep tabs on this. This could be something interesting for you.
Definitely, if you could connect me with that person, or we haven't raised an issue yet publicly, but it's just been we've been talking about it in the architectural designs. I just wanted to bring it out as a thing. Anyway, we should probably move on. I don't want to take up the whole meeting about this. Anyone got any specific questions?
Yeah. Just let me know when you've got a public thing and I'll share it. That's all.
Anyway, if no one's got any public specific questions, I'll leave it to you, Josh.
All right. Well, I always care about democratizing things. So since we have democratizing Kubernetes on Kubeflow training and Andre's here, maybe he can give us an update on training v2.0.
This is a nice elevating pitch, Josh. Yes. Yeah, so we just gave a presentation. I think it was great. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it in person, but like the UK and other folks told me like it was around 150 to 200 attendance. So the session was quite successful. I think on the session we actually fine-tuned Llama 3.2 on multiple GPUs using FSDP and LoRa. And also we showcase one of our runtimes, like the one runtime for LLM and another runtime for PyTorch development using multiple nodes there. So the demo is already working, so which means like the 2.0 is already working. So right now we just want to see when we can make a release. I think it's like someone actually asked me when we're planning to release JAX on the 1.0 of training operator. I think we're planning to release in December, and we're planning to have the final release of 1.9 of training operator and release the 2.0 MVP together in December. So in December, everyone can just try out. So one of the interesting things that we showcase, we kind of showcase the interactive ML development for data scientists, and especially how they can snapshot the file system to their distributed training workloads. So they can start with their notebook and then they can snapshot the whole file system to the distributed training job. So these things is not yet open source, but we're looking to see how we can actually build a distributed cache layer between data scientists and actually training job, and allow us to streamline the development on their workloads. Like this actually can also work for your data cache between your, for example, Spark and training workloads as well. So we've been thinking about this for a long time, but just to see how we can build those pipelines within training, I think would be nice to investigate. Yeah, and I think like after this, call, I know a few folks want to get involved. So let me know again, like what you want to work on. I think our goal to support MPI v2 here as well as a next step in addition to Torch, and just to see how we can also support other like LLM runtime specifically, because the question is for us what like LLM runtime we as a community want to support, and what like we as a community want to like what kind of resources we can use to test them and make sure like data scientists can quickly fine tune all of those LLMs on top of Kubernetes. Any questions for this?
I guess the key question is just what can we say as the takeaway actions for people that want to help out or participate or try it?
Yeah, I think there are several open issues that folks are working on. I think if you want to get involved, let me know. But I think right now we just want to hear from users, especially of 1.0, what you want to get supported. Like for example, integrations with Q maybe, right? So it was a huge topic on this KubeCon about Q, like multi-cluster orchestration. And like, for example, TF jobs and PyTorch jobs, they kind of natively supported with Q with K, just to see like, is it something that we want to prioritize for train jobs as well? Or there are some maybe other aspects that you want to see for us as a community move forward, right? Yeah.
So the Q thing is definitely a weird discussion. I don't know. They did some strange integrations with notebooks as well. But for other things that people can do right now to help out, is there anything specifically, or is there a meeting? When's the next meeting?
Yeah, it's on Wednesday. So
okay, is it this Wednesday?
No, it's next Wednesday, right? Yeah, 27th. It's actually the 27th.
Okay.
All right.
No, like, are we?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Do we like? I know we have two more topics to talk about. Do we have like things where we can talk about KubeCon? I think this KubeCon there was so many things around Kubeflow, Ksurf, and all this badge things, but I just don't know if you want to talk about here.
Yeah, we definitely want to have a KubeCon conversation. I do have one question before we leave the training operator 2.0. Because if I understood what you just said, there are advantages from the 2.0 operator for fine tuning LLMs.
Yeah, that's right.
So is there any way that we could quantify any of that? Faster, cheaper, easier?
So I wanna position ourselves as the blueprints for LLM training on Kubernetes, like us as a community. Like I wanna like the goal for us to, if users want to utilize Kubernetes for their ML infrastructure, and if they want to fine tune LLM, they need to come to us so we can give you a blueprint. You can tweak this blueprint, and I would strongly recommend to suggest to check my logs, like check our actual presentation, because we're explaining the concept behind cluster training runtime, train job, and what actually we're doing, like why we're doing all those things. Like why are we consolidating effort with batch working group, for example, right? But like the goal is to actually streamline LLM development on top of Kubernetes, right? Yeah, with all those kind of good.
I'd like to make, maybe it's a goal, maybe it's just something, I'd like to put out something that's like, our goal is to cut the time and cost for fine tuning LLMs by 50%. I don't know if it's achievable or not, but something that we can put out there that is provocative.
Do you have
Versus,
a specific
doing
example?
it, without Kubernetes or trying to figure it out on your own. How am I fine tuning these models? Here's a blueprint. We're going to save you 50% both in time and perhaps the cost, because we're going to give you shortcuts.
So the thing is, like, Kubernetes became much better for AI workloads compared to 7 years ago when we started the Kubeflow project in 2017.
Yeah.
And right now, many people, I mean, that is why I guess in the next 5 to 10 years, there'll be more folks to jump from, HPC-based systems like Slurm or, MPI or other, HPC clusters to Kube. So we just need to see how to make those transitions for those people. I know, like, for example, Q folks, they kind of creating this K CTL CLI to mimic this like Slurm run CLI, so data scientists can quickly jump. So I think we should think with the same way of how we port those technologies, right? And what is the role of Kubeflow in all those ecosystem, right?
I'm pretty sure there is like a couple of competing Slurm compatibility layers, and I think we should try and if I haven't confirmed whether none of them are in the CNCF already, but we should try and encourage the CNCF to either conglomerate them into one project, because it's silly to have 10 different projects doing the same thing, or maybe even put it under Kubeflow, you know? Like that's an option.
All right, let's talk about KubeCon.
No one specifically asked to talk about this. I just thought we should, you know, if someone's got things they want to share, let's do that.
So maybe Chase or you, Amber, or Valentino, like or Ricardo, since you've been there, you can share
Yeah,
your thoughts.
I guess
Mm.
I'll go first and then have everybody jump in. So the booth was a success. You know, thanks to everybody who volunteered, who showed up and were able to take over, especially on Thursday and Friday, as Chase and I had to leave. So we had a good presence. They're already asking if we're going to come back. I'm filling out the paperwork today to make sure that we have a booth in Europe. We're one of the Kubeflow is one of the most active booths that are there. We had slides. We were able to point people how to get involved. A lot of that, you know, in the project pavilion was great. The other thing, we had 7 different talks that even mentioned Kubeflow, and we were called out in a couple of the keynotes. You know, we were able to get a shout out for that in some of the keynotes. So that was great. And then the other thing that we heard from was a lot of users that we're not aware of, who came to us, especially Chase and I, and talked to us about one group. Just to give you an idea, one group's, you know, influences thousands of customers. They're a neutral spot in the data center ecosystem. And they said, look, we're ready to pull Kubeflow out and not even mention it again because it's too hard. And they're not going to be, they can't go to a distribution. They have to do it themselves. And the fact that the people who are doing it themselves are finding it too hard to do anything on their own. And they're finding it hard to find the help that they need. And they're saying, hey, we're coming to you because we don't want to pull this out. We want to keep talking about Kubeflow, but we find it too hard. And so we got no more, at least me personally, I had at least 7 to 8 different people come up to me to tell me that exact same message. And they tell me because they care. They don't want to walk away from it yet. Chase, you had some experiences as well. So we know we're out there. We know more people are using Kubeflow than what we even know about. And they're finding us, they're seeking us out, and they're wanting to help, and they're willing to give feedback and talk about their experience and also help us make it easier. So that was good. We're also, you know, people are coming to us as well, not us as in me and Chase, us as in the project, asking how can they help, not only giving us their feedback, good, bad, or challenging, but they're saying, okay, I'm going to give you this feedback and I want to help. So we encountered a lot more of those types of conversations too. We were given the opportunity to be on stage in the project pavilion and talk about Kubeflow as well. So all in all, it was an amazing event. And the deadline for Europe, the CFP's open deadline for Europe is 4 December. So get your talks in. It will be a standalone Kubeflow event this time. It won't be part of AI Day, even though AI Day was a success and we had lots of talks about Kubeflow there as well. We're rising in the project spotlight. And so I'll be mentioning probably in the next 2 weeks the graduation checklist, so we can work on that, as that topic came up several times as well. Chase, Valentina, Andre, what do you guys want to, Terry, what do you guys want to chip in?
Yeah, I can add that I think the booth was a success, and I think specifically having friendly faces there that'll help people navigate the community was huge. A lot of people came to me saying, you know, I'm running Slurm or I'm running these different workloads. How can I get help? And I think providing ways to get maybe this is what the Kubeflow enablement team can work on, is providing people ways to have that first point of contact with the community and help them get support or help them work through something. in a community manner, such as a deployment or kind of solution with them, I think would be really valuable. Yeah, the difficulty with deployment came up a few times, but other than that, I think we got a lot of the art of the possible going. One thing to consider for next year is if we want to have some canned demos that anyone that's going to work the booth can run through, as well as how we're going to manage having maybe community infrastructure or a community cluster. A lot of people want to get started, and maybe one answer is, hey, if you want to develop on Kubeflow quickly or you just want to get a taste, how can we provide that, especially for going to do things like workshops or these kind of community outreach events? How can we manage clusters to have something quick and easy that we can get up? Another thing worth mentioning is the examples repo is out of date. So if we wanted to quickly pull and iterate on examples, it's difficult to know what version is accepted by what. So showing the art of the possible does have a lot of friction. So that's something we should consider before next Kubeflow, so we can point to users to all these different updated examples that they can run.
Yeah, so from my perspective, I was there on Friday morning, which was not as busy maybe as other days, but I have a lot of like people who were part of the community, like maintainers and other people who, yeah, even left from Red Hat as well, like they were there. But I spoke with some people that they were interested kind of understanding the big picture and Kubeflow as, you know, the role in the AI landscape. And there was someone that was very interesting. He was coming from security background and he wanted to understand more about like how AI workloads are different from like applications. What are the different things that you can see from when you are comparing both? How was the whole Kubeflow architecture? So we have some discussions around that. He took my email as well for in case he had follow-up questions. I think so it was great. It was a great experience for me, and I think having presence there in the project pavilion. The other thing, the slides, I think were great because some people were like just not only about it was just giving like some visualization about different concepts. I agree with the demos. And also I think we could include like some links to like call to action at the end, like get resources, maybe blogs. But it was a great event. Then Chase connected me with Bart. I did a short video about Kubeflow highlighting what the project is about, like release very high level. Didn't want to commit to anything since we are working towards that. But I spoke about how great is this community, and I want to take this opportunity to say, like, I am very, as you guys know, I'm new with this community, but you really, embrace newcomers with open arms. Like I'm part of the release team, so just want to take this time to say thank you so much all. Like Ricardo has been amazing, and all the team liaison, like always, providing the updates on what they are working on. So that's also something I said on the short video, but also I invited people to join the community, regardless of their expertise. Like for me, it's really a chance to really grow in other skills, and I'm so in love with this project. So just come with me if you need anything. I'm also looking to see how, build more content so we can help have more presence on the CNCF blogs. So yeah, but looking forward to KubeCon Europe. So I think we do have a lot of opportunities to not only talk about the product itself, but I also focus on platform engineering. And I think that could be a great story within platform engineering AI and how Kubeflow helps to, be part of that story. But yeah, it was great. I'm looking forward to, next event.
Jan, do you want to speak? You had your hand up.
Yeah, I can go on. I think you guys covered pretty much everything already, but I think it's great to hear that Kubeflow got called out in a lot of the presentations, including Keynote. Also, like model registry as a new sub-project in Kubeflow also got called out in the Keynote. So that was a great evidence and a great way to showcase our community. It's a great community outcome, I would say. Also, like I think we did a really good job on the booth, and we pretty much covered all the time that we were assigned for. But one thing we could do better is to arrange a few volunteers at the events to make sure we have the full coverage instead of like this time we had to like find a few folks to make sure we cover the last 2 days. But I think we can do that better next time. And we've also had a lot of like hallway conversations with a couple of end users who are interested in getting involved in more community side of things. So I think going forward, I think as part of the steering committee, we should look into how to support that effort so that they can provide continuous feedback loop to our projects, and we can actively take that feedback and improve our projects going forward.
I also want to add a few things before we move on. So I think back to your points, Chase, around examples, I think we should make a warning that this repo is not being maintained right now, or we should just archive it for some period of time.
We actually do
Yes.
have the warning on the website, but we don't have it on the repo. That's probably a pretty simple fix to just add a warning. But people have been adding examples. You know what I mean? Like there is stuff that's been added in the last few months. So like I don't know if it's correct to archive it fully.
I mean, from my perspective, I think we should do something because the last commit was 10 months ago. And in this year, we just have, what is it, 4 commits. I would suggest to add a warning or archive it and then re-archive when we're ready to update it, because this should really confuse people. I
I
agree
think the
with,
problem is if you archive it, I think it closes all the pull requests.
okay.
But we can definitely put a warning. The problem is just that because the repo has got so many root folders, people may not see the warning at the top of the file.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think we need to
okay.
decide if there are some like take a few that are community supported, and then on every release we test them. Maybe this is part of Kubeflow enablement, etc. Because I think right now it's you can push an example, but then it can go stale very quickly. So how do we have a workflow for maintaining these examples so new users don't get frustrated and just assume the project's broken, and we can have some kind of maybe gold starred examples, especially for things like fine tuning LLMs, right?
Yeah, I think let's talk about this in the next meeting so we can keep talking about
Yeah,
KubeCon.
yeah, sure.
But I agree
And
we should do something about that. I'll put it on the tracking for next time.
Ramesh, do you want to ask about this topic, or I just also want to add something on the KubeCon side?
Something else, definitely.
And I
Okay,
have one more
yeah.
thing to add about KubeCon too, Andre, when you're finished.
Yeah. So I just want to say, yes, you're right. We've been highlighting the keynote a lot of times. There was a significant effort, like for us working with CNCF, and also, many people speak about their experience. I'm really surprised about it. That's great. Also, I think like the good thing that we kind of have a close collaboration with Kubernetes for the last 7 years, because like all this work around batch actually was kind of propagated from us, because those folks was working with us with API and with many years since like 2017. So this is why like I think community overall just kind of underestimate Kubeflow effort on the Kubernetes ecosystem of how we actually make sure Kubernetes is the right platform for AI. So I think we should definitely, continue this collaboration, make sure all those initiatives like Q, JobSet, Jobs became much more mature and have a strong, relationship. What is the role of us? And what is the role of those projects for the Kubernetes users, right? I think also what's really surprising me, more end users was speaking about us, like Capital One was speaking on keynote, like she mentioned about Kubeflow many times. I know Bloomberg was also giving a few presentations. I also want to mention about Spark Operator, because Charon and Vara, they have a talk on the KubeCon. I think what they found out that many companies actually forked Spark Operator because of unmaintenance for a very long time. And right now they want to come back and contribute more so they can upstream more features and actually, like make sure like Spark is actually running pretty well on Kubernetes. So this is the good thing. Yeah, and I think overall there will be much more moving forward. I just want to see how we can keep those momentum with CNCM folks with all those end users. And that's why, like we had this discussion before with steering committee, but we really need to start end user group or working group, or I don't remember, Josh, how we call it, but I maybe hope after elections we can start this initiative to actually have the group specifically for end users, where they can speak and where they can provide feedback for us, like user advisory group, like similar what CNCF is doing, just specifically for the Kubeflow. Yeah, we're talking about this more, but maybe we can share something more later when we have more concrete steps what we can do there. Go ahead, Amber.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention, with the upcoming Kubeflow Summit in Europe, if you want to participate, if you want not only to participate in the booth and that sort of stuff, but if you want to help with that, please get in contact with me, and we'll start meeting on that. Two, if you want to contribute to the swag, I made sure that we had swag and stickers and stuff in the booth, but if you want to help with that, please let me know. Because I can only bring so much with me. So if you want to help with swag or help with the event itself, please let me know. And reach out either on Slack or email me, because we need to get started planning that as well. We're also going to be working on a virtual event that is not necessarily for end users. It's for us to come together and tackle some of the things that we don't have time to tackle in these community meetings. So it will be more like a Kubeflow user community event, virtual event, than it will be bringing in end users and stuff like that. So pay attention to the mailing list, and you'll see more information coming out on how you can help and participate in not only Kubeflow Summit, but also the virtual event as well.
Did the CNCF come back on if they'll pay for t-shirts? I know this batch we picked up the tab early, but they said they might reimburse us. But did they say we have specific community?
No, not yet. I'm
Okay.
working on that. And I'm working on getting to become an ambassador. So because ambassadors have budget, but no, right now it's on us and figuring out either how people can contribute to the CNCF earmarked just for specific things in Kubeflow,
Fantastic.
or I'll just keep doing it and people want to contribute and help me with the cost of that. I'll let everybody know how to do that as well.
Awesome.
Ramesh, go ahead. You have your hand up.
So I have one comment that Valentina mentioned. About the platform engineering side of it. We have been trying to, at least from the Red Hat side of it, from the Red Hat engineers who contribute into Backstage. We've been in conversations with them to bring them to see if we can develop if they can develop, or in coordination, we can develop a plugin in the Backstage into model registry. So any associations you can help us with there, Valentina, that would be really great. We can we can take this one into our community call, or or in Backstage community, wherever you see fit. But we've been talking with a few engineers already on that one. Just to,
Cool. Anyone else want to talk about KubeCon stuff? Anyone else want to say their
I
thing?
think just final topic. I think people still confuse what is Kubeflow, especially end users. I think people still don't really understand like the power of our ecosystem. I think the one thing is actually we think about onboard more end users for us and understand how we actually explain what we as the community doing, right? It's hard.
I think we all disagree kind of about exactly the purpose of Kubeflow, but that's part of the benefit of it, right? Because we definitely agree that we're all here to do machine learning on Kubernetes, but I don't know if we agree beyond that.
No, that's right. But I think we should just directly show the value of why Kubeflow exists to the end user, right? And we try to, yeah. Good.
Or just maybe call out these different architecture opinions, these different patterns we're saying, whether it be someone like Andre, what you've discussed, someone maybe being more training operator focused or someone being more Kubeflow notebooks as their portal into the system, kind of discussing these different patterns of how people interact with the system will really help people understand how their butt in a chair using it looks.
Yeah, I mentioned it's like composable microservice architecture and how we can, like, this was proposed by many folks in like in 2017, 2019 when we speak about Kubeflow, right? How we make sure this actually, the ecosystem, what we're doing is valuable for different set of end users. This is the thing which we can, work on. But anyway, we can maybe move on. If maybe Josh, you have any questions from your side on the KubeCon side?
Great job, everybody. I mean, fantastic. I have to say, just the feedback that we're getting, if we've watched the way that the community has evolved over the last few years and the difference in leaderships and the fact that we've sustained and increased momentum through transitions of the community is a really good sign that we're doing something right.
I think also one of the interesting thing I actually mentioned, I saw some talk from one of the maintainers from Linkerd and other projects, and one interesting like things that I kind of observed that what they're talking about, that 90% of CNCF project was driven by single organization, where it is a startup or usually the startup, right? But we're kind of a different set of folks, right? I don't know if any other project within CNCF have the same, community stays behind it.
Well,
Looking for
Kubernetes.
No, but I mean, not Kubernetes, like, Argo, Istio, Linkerd, Cilium, like like 90%, as I said, 90%, right? Of them driven by single organization, right? So just to see how we can transition that things to the benefit for us and benefit for other end users and companies to get involved is the thing maybe we can work on.
Absolutely.
Right?
And this is our strength, right? This is why we've survived, because in the transitions of if one company had lost interest, like some of the other projects did, we wouldn't exist anymore, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and now we have our favorite topic.
Oh my God, it's the topic that everyone loves, yes.
Yes, that comes up probably once every 3 months. Helm charts.
Who's jumping into the deep this time? Is it you, Chase?
It's me. So community members were asking for a simplified way to deploy this. It's not one Helm chart, it's potentially multiple Helm charts. But the other side of this is having talked to separate different marketplaces. Like I was talking to Defense Unicorn, and I actually said, hey, what would it take to get Kubeflow on like your air-gapped marketplace, right? So if you're using more regulated workloads, you have an air-gapped deployment method. And they said, well, our pattern is using a Helm chart. So I said, okay, that seems like that's kind of, if you look at Replicated, you look at all these companies, this is the standardized way for many people to deploy, whether it's right or wrong. So the question is, I see some efforts out there in the community to support air-gap deployments. I see community efforts to support Helm charts. I see even the training operator mentioning to do Helm charts. Andre said I should bring this up on the community call, and then maybe we can discuss what it would take to track this and what would a community supported deployment method look like.
So, I mean, I'll talk later, but I just want to highlight that, as we just said, the strength of the community is that multiple people are involved. And part of that is that there are different disagreements on how Kubeflow should be deployed. So having an official deployment method is dangerous for that reason, but there's other reasons as well.
I think there's kubeadm for Kubernetes, right?
That's not an official deployment method. To be very, very clear.
Right. So this is let's support a Helm chart. Like a lot of customers or users are asking for Helm charts. So if the community and other customers are willing to contribute to a Helm chart so that they can use it to get started, why won't we? And we have members wishing to enable it. What's wrong with us just doing that?
We already do. That's just if they wish to make a distribution and they are willing to support it long term, there's their prerogative.
But the problem
I don't think
is,
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Pat, you finish.
I just want to qualify that part of the difficulty is that it is pretty much impossible to do it effectively. But that is why, if they're willing to do it, though, if they're willing to do it, they can have a distribution that is a Helm chart.
Is that a distribution, just using a technology to pull our upstream manifests? just a Helm plus manifest equals a distribution?
That would be part of the reason why it's not a very valuable thing and why I don't think many people would use it. But yes.
But we can, I think that one of the biggest things here is adoption, right? As Chase mentioned. We can start with the Helm charts for individual projects, like KSurf, right? KSurf, a Spark operator, already has Helm charts. They have Helm charts, right? You know, we can put those projects on those marketplaces so people can easily install them, right? This is just one of the idea how we can get started to find more adoption, because adoption and user requests is the one of the most, like, you know, one of the things we should care about right now. Go ahead, Julius.
I was approached by Chase before, and I'm also tracking the issues for Helm charts and air gap installations in Kubeflow/manifest. And I also know that especially Christoph is willing to upstream the stuff. And I told him to upstream this, we need individual Helm charts that are more or less similar to what we right now have in Customize, because then it's not a distribution, but we provide Helm charts at least for the individual components. So that would be the first step.
And part of the problem is that the reason why that's unlikely to happen is because most Kubeflow apps are based around KubeBuilder, and KubeBuilder control at runtime generates Customize.
Yeah, but that's fine as long as they are willing to maintain the Helm charts. I'm fine with that. If they don't maintain them, well,
Sorry,
you have to remove
KubeBuilder
them.
generates manifest, not Customize.
Well, no, it does technically generate Customize. They generate customized patches and stuff, but yeah.
I know there is some effort to make Customize and Helm work together. I can share some blog posts, right?
Of course, I'm not saying that you can't make things work, but again, I want to step back to what users actually are asking usually for when they ask for a Helm chart, and it's the ability to, as you said, use existing infrastructure that they have to deploy Kubeflow, and also Helm charts make configs simple, right? Like that's the reason people like, I want all my values to be configs.
It's actually about adoption, right? Like many companies using Helm as one of the tools to do infrastructure as a code. And I want to quickly plug in some of those components and just install them as part of their broader platforms, right? Which are on top of Kubernetes. We just don't have this option right now. Right, and similar to like marketplaces, as Chase mentioned, like we have some marketplaces where people can just install components, and because we don't have Helm charts, we cannot plug in ourselves there, so we have less adoption, right?
The goal is not to substitute a distribution. The goal is to have something that people can use the Helm charts instead of the manifest, and they get more or less the same experience, not with the full templating or so, but just the format that they expect.
Yeah, because the difficulty with Kubeflow is that it's many components, right? And so I agree that if the core, like in my mind, there should never be a official distribution for Kubeflow because there's too much disagreement on how it should be done. And no one wants to support every conceivable target. But if individual components wanted to additionally provide Helm charts in the Kubeflow manifest repo, that might be something we could do.
I think it really gets back to adoption and what people are asking us for. And this is what we continually hear end users who want to use Kubeflow, regardless they want to use all of it or pick and choose. This is what they're asking for. And if people are willing to maintain it, we should give them the opportunity, because that will help us drive adoption.
Can you pick this up in a KSC meeting?
What would we be asking? Like, they can already do it. They can make a distribution. Like
No,
I don't think we can even say.
I'm not interested in a distribution. I'm interested in I would like to get formal vote from the KSC about, do we want to start working on Helm charts?
And again, it's not a distribution, Matthew. You're confusing the two asks.
Yeah, and I think we don't even have conformance yet. So defining what is and isn't a distribution is also tricky.
I do just want to, yeah.
You know what's interesting about this is if we look at these projects that have always been at the edge of Kubeflow that we've needed to kind of incorporate model registry, Spark, we made a commitment in 2024 to kind of start those. And we've tried some of those before and we haven't been successful. This time we were successful so far. And Helm is one of those that sat out on the side for a long time, right? But the thing is, there's a ton of Helm users. I mean, I think in the Kubernetes Slack channel, there was like 25,000 people. I mean, they have a very large community. And I think for us to do some type of support makes sense. And I kind of like this idea of maybe a limited or a single component, if that makes sense. I think trying to take it all, Matthew, you brought up these concerns before that it's too complex, but what about just a single component?
That's what they already do. Like we literally already have this, right? Like so
We have
Spark
it only for
operator.
Spark and that's it for KServe, right?
Yeah, the issue still is that like the reason I say it is because I tried to do it, right? And then it ended up creating deploykf because it turned out that when you want the platform of Kubeflow with orchestration, declarative configs, all the things that you expect from a Helm chart, it's just too complicated for a single Helm chart. Like it's not possible to orchestrate.
But not many
Because-
people need platform.
Well,
Again,
you assume that you're making a
just
very
to try
strong
out, they don't need platform. They just go to marketplace, they search for, you know, like components for serving, they install KServe. You know, I want to train my LLM, I install train job, right? I want to
It's
do
like a
Spark
community
queries.
edition.
Yeah, it's like
But even KServe is still, the Helm chart's not that useful, like because you still have to deploy Knative, Istio, and a whole bunch of other things.
In the end, they want it. Whether it's perfectly useful for them or whether it's improvable, that's another discussion. But they want some form of an Helm chart.
But sometimes the user, like, the user can want something to play around with, but then in production, what they want, like what I'm saying is, if each project wants to provide a Helm chart, that's fine. And I don't think we should stop them from doing that. But they should, if the Kubeflow is a project that should be able to be deployed together. And so there should be at least some standard there as well.
Yeah, and we can see where we start with that, where we put the Helm charts, in which direction we synchronize. But we could at least start with a proof of concept somewhere. If it doesn't work out in the end, it's useless and people don't want to use it, we can remove it again.
Yeah, I think it would be really good actually if there is like, instead of using the customize, for example, in the manifest, if there is a way that we can install like the entire Kubeflow using Helm chart, I think that would be really good.
See, now this is what I'm saying. That's not possible. Like that's like it is possible to make Helm charts that can deploy each part of Kubeflow, but you need something outside of it to orchestrate it. It's not possible to. Every single Helm chart project uses currently Argo CD. So deploykf uses Argo CD and a bunch of other complex things. That Helm charts from that other person uses Argo CD. The other 3 versions of the Helm charts created by different companies all use Argo CD because you need something to manage the orchestration of like the 20 different Helm charts.
But if, for example, as Andrew was saying, that there would be a way that Customize and Helm could work together somehow, then
So that's the other way around.
It's not
Sadly,
about
that's the
Argo
other way
CD,
around.
right? Some people use Argo CD, some people use Terraform, some people use Pulumi, right? Like,
Sure.
or maybe they're using even Airflow to deploy their infrastructure, right? There could be multiple ways how we're not like doing this, right? We're just giving a template so people can play with, right?
But that's what the Customize does work in that form.
Yeah, but the problem is Customize has less adoption compared to Helm, right?
So, but it's not. But you're not adopting.
So I think
Customize
this
is just a template engine.
a larger question, but I think that all we can say for now, the only variable we can lock in is there are community members that are interested in supporting a Helm chart, and there are customers that are interested in seeing what that would be like. And if anything, we get this going and we capture what we learned. And if it's not possible, it's not possible. But I think the effort's ongoing. And I say we take it from there, but we've already discussed this a lot, and it seems to be kind of a politically charged combo. So maybe let's take this in different
It's not that
spots.
it's politically charged. It's that I'm trying to protect the project from releasing something that we cannot possibly maintain.
Well, we're
And
not.
also,
maintaining
adopting.
it. The people who are asking for it are saying they will maintain it. But I agree with Chase. We're over time, and we should probably pick this up at another time.
not saying that people wouldn't be willing to maintain it, but it's just that I'm arguing against the possibility of it existing without an external management system, which just makes it into a distribution.
Totally. We hear your hypothesis.
And then it's like,
we appreciate
just
the
make a
feedback.
distribution.
We
if
hear
you'll gain
you, but
adoption,
we're
then-
over time now, Matthew.
So, you know, again, I think the process is as important as the tech. We've seen where we've tried model registry 3 or 4 times. We couldn't get it off the ground. We did this time, right? Spark Operator, we actually got it incorporated after people have been asking a long time. Having Helm as some way in 2025 to have a process like this might be at least we're responding. Maybe that's part of the reason we're getting more momentum, is that we're responding to these tough issues that people ask us about.
I agree.
So let's think about it. I think probably, look, from a KFC standpoint, as long as I'm there, which won't be that much longer, I'm supportive of trying stuff as long as we have a way to from cradle to grave, right? And if we can put it to bed because it didn't work, we tried it. As long as we go in eyes wide open, I got it, right? But let's see where we go. I mean, God, this has come up so many times. Good conversation. Great work by everyone. Anything else that we want to talk about before we close out? We're over time. Anything burning? All right. I look forward to all the folks that are going to run for the KFC, and I always say KFC like Kentucky Fried Chicken. But anyway, I hope you all have a good week, and great job at KubeCon again.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Josh.
Josh.